My thoughts on the Sony conference. So what's going on, guys? Zephyrnix here. Let's talk about the Sony conference. So basically, before we begin, I just want to talk out from the very beginning. It was kind of fail. I mean, they were passing out the 3D glasses, right? So I was like, okay, they're going to do a 3D thing again. Okay, just like last year. But okay, fine. They're really disappointing this 3D thing. So then, you know, I'm thinking to myself, if this goes better than the conference last year, I might have to go ahead and get a PlayStation 3 again. So I'm getting amped for it. I'm getting kind of amped actually. I was like, okay. So I'm getting anyway. So I'm like, I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready. So I'm getting amped, right? So first fail. First fail. They couldn't get the conference. They couldn't even start the conference on time. The conference actually ended up like it took them about 8 minutes or so I thought, but then delay continued. Okay, it was like it was like what the hell? You could not start on time, but finally, okay, finally that was just a small thing, but finally they started. So basically, overall, the PlayStation 3, things they announced basically was kind of like this. So what they and that's pretty much what they was said. Ain't not a damn thing was said for the PlayStation 3. It's like seriously. You like how I turned that, right? Since I screwed that up the first time. But anyway, so yeah, I mean they talked about Uncharted, which pretty much confirmed my suspicions that it was going to be Uncharted 2.5. I didn't see anything new. I didn't. Nothing new that they couldn't do in Uncharted 2. So blah blah blah. What else was there? Asamiak came out and talked about Resistance 3. Moving on, we also talked about God of War and the Eco Collection, which I thought was really good. Bringing back those old PlayStation classics to HD and to your PlayStation 3, forcing you to buy them all over again. I think that's really cool. Anyway, so I know I'm being testy, but I'm getting to something here. What else? So basically, talking about there's more than it's funny too because he also mentioned sales too, and I find it really funny that PlayStation fans always mention how sales don't matter until it their argument kind of needs to be talked about sales or these guys until Sony actually mentions sales all the time in their conferences. It's like really sales don't matter, huh? Okay, I just want to let you know Sony don't agree with you. But anyway, keep going too. They also mentioned they got a new PlayStation 3D display. Now I'm thinking to myself, oh, okay, so it's an extra widescreen display. Good, good. It comes with glasses and Resistance 3. Good for $499. That's awesome. It's only a 24-inch. To its defense, though, I would say that makes a kick-ass PC monitor. Okay, 24-inch, $499. So that's gotta be like a 120 hertz. That's a real kick-ass PC monitor. I'll give you that much. But anyway, moving on. Then they started talking about the. So overall, the whole PlayStation 3 part was a fail. It was a disgusting fail. I was so bored. I was just like. So anyway, moving on. Then came the move. Okay, first of all, NBA game on the move. Why would you even attempt something like that? Like, what was on your mind? I don't get it. Anyway, moving on. They showed a game called Medieval's Move, Dead Man's Quest. I thought it was good. You know. And so they also took a look at Infamous and said Infamous is going to have move control. I believe they said that anyway. So I was like, okay, that's actually pretty good. So right now we're 50% through the conference, and so far Zephyrnix was totally on point when he said, "Hey, this conference in 2010 was good." But the fact of the matter is that they pretty much said everything and anything that they were going to have in the future, which means that they're going to have nothing to say in the next conference. Guess what? They had nothing to say on the next conference, at least about the PlayStation and the Move. Okay? Now, with that being said, though, we saw Starhawk. That was already announced. We already knew about that. Sly 4, I knew about that already, but I know it wasn't officially announced, but that's cool. So, whatever's whatever. Here's the kicker, though. I saw Hilmar come on the stage here, and I'm like, oh, snap. Now Hilmar, for those of you guys who don't know, is the guy who does he did EVE Online, and basically now he's releasing a game exclusively with a PlayStation called Dust 514. Now it's a first-person shooter, sure, but here's the kicker: if I understand it correctly, and I think I understand it correctly, it's supposed to be a game that is actually that works kind of like seamlessly with EVE Online. So I don't know exactly all the information, but right now, if it's what I think it is, I'm all for it. I'm all down for that. And I also heard there's a Vita version. So we're going to get into that Vita in a minute, though. So long story short, they talk about all extra exclusive that they're going to have exclusively for the CD, for the PlayStation. Fine, fair enough. Haraya came out there and addressed the outage again. He talked about the PlayStation Suite and things of that nature. So now, long story short, we've ended the whole thing regarding PlayStation, Move, and even some things on PlayStation Network. Long story short, crap. Like, seriously. Like, there was no mentions of anything worth anything. But then, they talked about the Vita. Now, he talking about he talking about a little bit of features. I didn't hear him say anything about the HDMI output, but that's fine. Then he announced that he was going to be partnering with AT&T, and he called it the fastest. Even the crowd laughed. Everyone was. I just was like, ugh. And my wife looked up. Actually looked up at me. She's like, "Did I hear what I thought I heard?" And I'm like, "What?" Anyway, so now here's the kicker: Vita is actually going to have cross game chat. And your PlayStation 3 doesn't have cross game chat, but your Vita will? Like, seriously, I'd be pissed. I'd be pissed if that was the case. But anyway, I'm leading on to something. I want you guys to hold on for a little bit longer. I know it sounds like I'm bashing on this, but I'm not. Check it out. So Uncharted Golden Abyss was just on there, and it was really good. I saw this. I'm like, okay, that's actually really good. So I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay. Then I kind of realized, well, wait a minute. Did Sony just put out 2 Uncharted's like Microsoft did with 2 Halos? That's interesting. Huh. So I'm definitely going to have to drop a point for that particular thing, just to be fair. You PlayStation fans are all about being fair, right? They talk about Ruin. Now, Ruin's an action RPG hack and slasher. However, at the same time, it's going to have some 2 things. One, functionality and cross-play with the PlayStation. And it's also going to have the ability to, like, what you're doing is you're actually playing versus or with people online to the point where, like, depending on how strong you are is how strong your fortress is and things of that nature. And you actually go raid other people's fortresses. I thought that was pretty cool. That's a pretty cool, thing there. So I was like, okay. They also mentioned Mod Nation Racers for the Vita. Basically, it was going to have the custom tracks that are available on the PlayStation will be available on the system. Great. Little Big Planet, same thing, including costumes. Also great. And then, woo, a big announcement. Street Fighter Cross Tekken was going to be on the Vita. And I was like, okay. And they mentioned that Cole was going to be a player. Now, I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay. It wasn't the best. I'll say that it wasn't the best, but hey, at least the option's still there, right? And he mentioned that the Vita was going to be $249 for the Wi-Fi version, and then $299 for the 3G version. I'm like, whoa! Now that's even better. So, anyway, we've talked about that. We've talked about the not only cross chat but also cross play too. So basically, it means that in certain games you'll be able to versus people on the PlayStation 3. That's what cross-play is. So it's like, that's actually a good feature. So let's go ahead and rate it, just like I rated Microsoft's. So in terms of the core game itself, strictly gaming, how much do I rate this conference? Well, let's see. In terms of the PlayStation, I rated, they did have the core games available. They just didn't have any announcements. So I got to rate it a 2. I mean, yeah, for one, you had the 2 Uncharted, so I got to be fair. And aside from that, well, let's just face it. What did they announce that was part of the core collection? Sly 4? That's not exactly an announcement, nor is it a core game, really. I mean, it's not a core game. Anyway, I'm disappointed like that. So, bringing out my Target thing, they hit the mark. They just didn't hit it hard. What else? They also went ahead and... if you're talking about, like, if you want to add, like, that's just with the PlayStation now. If you want to add the Vita to it, then yeah, I think they knocked it home. Now, of course, I don't think it's right to add the Vita because it's a handheld, and Microsoft doesn't have a handheld. It doesn't make it fair. But I just want to give it 2 scores. So I always had the score in terms of score for the Vita, without a doubt. It's pretty high there. It's pretty like an 8, 9. You know, it's a really good handheld. In terms of the casual, you know, not a casual gamer, but in terms of the social gamer, you know, what do I rate it? I rated a 2, a 3, maybe. There were no games that really like. There was really no games that I can say, hey, let's play this together. You know, let's enjoy this time we have together. You know, there are no games like that. You know, maybe you're not looking for that, but myself as a family man, as you know, a man who actually does more than just play video games by himself, looking forward to stuff like that. So yeah, I gotta rate that low. I would say a 3. Actually, more like a 1, because there really was no games like that at all. So yeah, a 1. You know what? Now that I think about it, let me go back to my other score previously, because I'll say this. I think that now that I think about it, I think that the conference, you really need to go ahead and add the conference as an entirety. So I will add the Vita to the score. So I'm going to rate it an 8, because the Vita shined through. The Vita shined through hard, you know, and the Vita shined through better than a PlayStation 3, which comes to my next problem, and that's on a business aspect, on a financial aspect. What did they rate, in my opinion? Like a 3, because Sony just screwed up. Sony pretty much raised one particular question, and it's funny too, because Sony didn't seem to realize this, but I noticed that a lot of PlayStation gamers noticed this. So if the Vita is like this, what the hell do you need a PlayStation for? Like, no, seriously. Right now, the Vita is not even released, and it's better than the PlayStation. Cross game chat, cross platform chat, cross platform chat. No, not cross platform gaming. The list goes on and on. You know, so why do you need a PlayStation? So with that, you just pretty much stepped on your own toes. Because I plan to get a Vita. I ain't getting a PlayStation. You know, I'm not gonna waste my money on a PlayStation when I can get a Vita. You know, and with 3G nonetheless. So overall, yeah, that's my score for that one. 8, 1, and like, you know what? I'm gonna say 4. For a business, because, well, you know what, 5 for business, because even though they just totally just screwed themselves with the PlayStation, the fact, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people won't ask this question, the fact of the matter is that the Vita is looking beautiful right now. So without a doubt, I know a lot of developers out there, if they haven't jumped on board already, they will be. So definitely. Now, does that beat out the PlayStation? Does that beat out the Xbox? Well, right now it does by a few points, not by much. But it does beat out Microsoft's conference. With that being said, so did EA and so did Ubisoft. With Ubisoft's all high adrenaline guy who needs to get laid and something like that. I don't know about that guy. Anyway, though, so yeah, so far it's like that. That being said, though, please let you know that these scores, my personal scores, are not set in stone yet. I got to go ahead and do my after show, which basically I go ahead and look for all the other announcements that were not announced during the conference, and then I'm going to go ahead and kind of tally out the scores here. So I'm not going to do that until Nintendo's conference is there. So I'm going to go and give you guys a Nintendo conference when it's released, and then later that night we will have the after show. We're going to talk about it. So you guys have a good night. Zephyrnix out.